Hey, this is Lou Mangello from WDW Radio, and you're listening to the Five-ish Fangirls Podcast. Let's do this.
The tangents this week continue all the way to episode 221 of the Five-ish Fangirls Podcast. Have you hugged your Flerken today? Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls Podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like we do every week by going to the virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Brittany in Bethlehem.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello everyone.
Hello.
It's above freezing and the sun is shining, so even though I'm very tired, I'm in a great mood. Like the weather switched yesterday, and I could physically feel my mood change. We'll see how long it lasts. Anyway, we've got an exciting show this week. There's this little movie that dropped late last week, over the weekend, that's made a crap ton of money, and it's awesome. But we'll get to that. But first things first is Chrissy has otherwise engaged with this recording. She's got plans. But that being said, we are not alone. We have a new guest. We were going to have a returning, Chauncey was going to possibly join us, but he's otherwise engaged as well, but that's fine. So no returning guest this week, but we have a new guest. So give a big fangirl welcome to Liz.
Yay!
Hi there.
AKA Tony's other half.
Yes.
AKA host of the Social Sci-Fi Podcast. So
Yes, the third podcast in the Indiana Geeking family of podcasts,
yes.
which is a mouthful. It's hard to get used to saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Our show name's just kind of a mouthful too, but you know what? When you got a name, you just got to, you got to go with it. So for those that have not bothered to listen to any of the episodes where I've talked about Social Sci-Fi Podcast, considering I've been on the first two episodes, please let our listeners know what your podcast is about and where they can find it.
Oh, goodness. You'd have to ask Tony where to find it. I think you can find it everywhere on all the podcatchers.
Anything connected to Indiana geeking in Indiana.
Yeah.
You can find it.
And it's Social Sci-Fi. So I am a social worker, and I'm a geek. And the idea came to me when I was doing my first run through of this season, the newest season of Doctor Who, that it was something that I wanted to talk to people about. There's a lot of social issues that come up, and I like talking about my favorite fandoms and geeky things through the lens of the social aspect, the how sci-fi affects our society, as well as how our society affects sci-fi. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Yeah. That's cool though. I mean, it's fun having because I have been on the first two episodes, it's fun having the discussion of Doctor Who and not just talking about, I didn't like these characters, or I didn't like this set or whatever, but to look at it from that social lens is a lot of fun, where we've talked about things like discrimination and grief and violence and that sort of thing. So that's definitely it's definitely an interesting way to look at it, and having you here for this particular topic should be quite interesting, considering the quote unquote controversy that's been happening around said movie. So
I have ignored all the controversy. I know that the whole Rotten Tomatoes things, but past that, I've ignored it.
But yeah, I have tried to ignore it too. But we're still all aware of
the elephant in the room.
Of the elephant in the room.
Shall we rechange and say the Flerken in the room?
Yeah. Something, but we'll get to that. First up, we need to do the news. Not a whole lot of news. We're gonna, at least not a whole lot of news. We're gonna talk about this week. Next week, we're gonna do a nice big deep dive into some of the theme park related announcements that have been coming out recently. Give the mouse his due. So really, we've just got some trailers we need to discuss real quick, including a new one that dropped today. Advantage to recording a day later than we normally do, because this is what normally happens. We record whatever evening we record, and then the next day something drops. So in this case, it worked in our favor. So Disney has released a proper trailer for their live action Aladdin remake, and compared to the teaser thing that dropped last time, this I feel so much better about this movie now. That being said, I don't want to say that. This being said, now I'm going to rush to go see it. I may not rush to go see it, but I definitely am going to be more inclined to go see it in the actual movie theater now. So I don't quite have the nostalgic tie to it, kind of like I do with like The Lion King. But
that was one of the trailers when I went to see Captain Marvel, and it was like, ooh.
Yeah. But yeah, this trailer is just, it looks it just makes the movie it's like, oh yes, okay, they do actually know what they're doing. Yay! It helps that there's a lot of those recognizable songs in it too. Yeah. You hear bits of, "Ain't Never Had a Friend Like Me" and "A Whole New World" and Prince Ali, and it's like, oh yay, nostalgia. I'll take it. So there's that. And then we got a trailer for Good Omens, which drops late May, I think.
Yeah, I think it's like the week after Aladdin, actually, if I think about it.
Okay, yeah, it's like May 31st or so. It's like literally the end of May. And that looks like it's going to be so much fun. It just looks like so much fun. And I love that they were able to, I'm sure, probably not that hard in the, multitude of artists out there, but I love that they were able to get the rights for the Queen music, because it's not necessarily an integral plot point, but it's just one of those like details in the book that it's like, it's definitely one that needed to carry over into this adaptation. So
yes, I was a happy camper when I was hearing the Queen list. I'm like, yes, good.
Yeah, it seems like they've got the personalities, for the characters, down pat. So
after seeing the trailer, because I was a little nervous at first, but now seeing this trailer, I'm like, oh yeah, we're good.
Yeah, John Hamm, is the Archangel Gabriel, and he's like, not my department.
Yeah.
It's so funny because this whole book is about the impending apocalypse.
Yes.
The end of times, and it's framed in a way where heaven and hell are essentially treated like branches of government.
Yes.
And they're just run like a bureaucracy, and each group, the archangels and the four horsemen of the apocalypse are like, they're in their own department. They've got their own way of doing things, and they don't talk to the others.
Sounds really efficient.
Yes.
Well, and then some good meaning nurses / nuns, and
yeah. Well, it's efficient, but it's more how inefficient they are is what drives the plot, though, because it's the inefficiencies that create all these misunderstandings and hiccups.
And comedy of errors.
Yes. It's like, is the apocalypse actually going to happen, or did somebody forget to save a file somewhere?
Or did somebody's good deed undo what they were supposed to do? I mean, there was a couple of times when I was reading the book, I'm just like, wait a minute, and then I do a face palm. I'm just like, okay, keep reading.
Yeah.
You guys had one job.
Yeah.
One job.
One job. Well, and then there's that one job that our main protagonist had to do and may or may not have done it correctly, which is a major plot point and a major spoiler, so we're not going to go into that. But
exactly. Yes.
Let's just say that there's some big missteps where people weren't doing their job right. Exactly right. So, but yeah, it looks so funny. I'm so excited for this. So, and then the other end of the spectrum, as Philip DeFranco has been saying every time he talks about when HBO drops something, we got a trailer for the final season of Game of Thrones, and Philip DeFranco, he's like, I'm so ready to be emotionally manipulated.
Emotionally compromised.
Emotionally compromised, yes. So, final season of Game of Thrones, we're less than 6 weeks away from the start, and who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Puddles
of glue after the first episode airs.
I have to I have to laugh though, because the way they edited it, and I'm sure this was on purpose, where you have Jon Snow doing this voiceover, and he's talking about the Night King and the White Walkers and everything, but he's talking about how his enemy, our enemy is cold and unfeeling and, doesn't really give a crap about us, and it cuts to Cersei.
Yeah, I was just about to, I was like, yeah, that fits her too. I mean, come on. Perfect.
I'm like,
yep. we saw what you did there.
Yeah, it's like, bravo, HBO editors, bravo. Oh my.
Or if the person that did that wasn't supposed to do that, nicely played.
Yes. This is Game of Thrones we're talking about, though. They never do anything on accident.
Yeah, true.
Oh my. And then real quick, coming up this weekend on Saturdays, we're recording this the 16th in Chicago, Southgate Media Group, our friend Rob Southgate, he has put together an event for being represented by the Chicago podcasting group. So it's we have the indie podcast group down here in Indy. There's a Chicago one too. There's a lot of crossover though. But he and the Chicago podcasting group with Southgate Media Group have put together, they're having an event kind of to kick off for C2E2, which is later this month, also in Chicago, which is their big comic convention in Chicago. So there's going to be a mini podcasting marathon, so live podcasting from a number of podcasts in the area. Some of them I know of, like I think Popcorn Psychology is going to be there, along with some others. But they are going to be giving away, among other things, they're going to have some artists and other vendors that are going to be at C2E2. So this is your chance to meet them. And I don't know if they'll be selling some of their stuff or not. And they're also going to be giving away badges to C2E2. So if you're thinking about going to C2E2 and don't have a badge yet, you could potentially win. So there you go. So I'll put the link to the event in the show notes. So if anyone in the Chicago area wants to go hang out with some cool podcasters and potentially win badges to C2E2, there you go.
Chance.
So that should be fun. I kind of wish I could go, but I already have plans. So family first. Oh. All right. And that's it for the news for now. So we are going to jump into this week's topic, which is Captain Marvel. So spoiler alert. From here going forward, there will be spoilers for Captain Marvel.
Come back. We will be waiting for you.
Yep. Yep. So, yep. Captain Marvel, the 21st
That's hard to believe. It doesn't
film
seem like it's been that long.
in the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's crazy.
Yeah.
To say
The 21st movie in almost 11 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yes.
And we got 2 more coming this year.
Yeah.
And a lot more in the near future.
Yeah. And the way that they did the way this movie ended, at least a couple more Captain Marvel movies.
Yeah.
I wouldn't complain.
or I wouldn't mind. Give Goose his own movie.
Yes.
I'm for it. I'm Team Goose.
Yes.
That'll be an animated feature.
Yeah. Or a Goose and Fury team up.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Well, there's the potential for that too. So we don't know what's happened to Goose since 95, where this is set, and because Goose is not a actual Earth cat, we don't know how long Flerkens live.
Right.
So Goose could still be out there, you know, doing his or her thing. I mean, I don't think if they ever established if Goose was a boy or a girl in the universe. So,
Right. They just kind of assume.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd heard something or seen something that I was referring to Goose as a girl.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I thought
That's kind of when
I thought maybe Captain had said, "Oh, sorry, girl," or unless it was Goose and I misheard her.
Maybe. I think I was maybe just assuming Goose was a girl because it's all about girl power and everything.
Yeah.
So, we're just gonna go with that.
Goose and Rocket.
All the badass chicks in this movie, including the Flerkens. So, I knew Goose was gonna be a scene stealer. I knew just even before I went into it, I'm like, this cat's gonna this is gonna be like BB-8 in Star Wars.
Right. Well,
It's Goose.
And then when they paired Goose up with Fury, it was just like the two of them kind of just like stole the show. I was like, okay.
Yeah, really.
Give me more.
Yeah.
I mean, and then the stuff with Coulson and Fury, I'm just like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I could spin off this too.
My biggest complaint with this movie, not enough Phil Coulson.
Yes, exactly.
That's my own personal issue, though, because I love Clark Gregg.
Well, I was keeping on how often Coulson. I was like, okay, Phil, you could show up anytime now. Come on.
Yeah. I think part of it was the fact that he's the new guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's new to S.H.I.E.L.D. at this point, so he's still getting he's still cutting his teeth in this whole S.H.I.E.L.D. thing. So.
Yeah. Well, and Fury's quasi kind of too.
Yeah. At this point, Fury's been with S.H.I.E.L.D. 6 years, and he's been working a desk. He's been a paper pusher up to this point. So.
Yeah, excuse me. That made me wonder what S.H.I.E.L.D. was about before Aliens and all that.
Precursor to the X-Files. I don't know.
It was more scientific more than anything. If you go back to
Carter
and more like Homeland, almost like Homeland Security. If you go back and watch the Agent Carter series,
right?
It's kind of a spin-off of the SSR more than anything that Howard has formed. Just because Howard is, a nerd. Howard Stark's a nerd, so.
Yeah, a nerd with a whole lot of cash.
Yeah. Those are the best kinds of nerds.
Yes.
Nerds with money.
Yeah. Well, and to everything that they were able to pull with this, to pull together all from all the previous 20 movies. It's just like,
yes.
boy.
Yeah.
I gotta
It's
go
like,
back and rewatch. I'm just like, wait a minute. I saw you. Wait a minute. Weren't you fighting with Thor in the Bifrost? And I was like, yeah. I was like,
if for some reason you're listening to this still at this point, but have not seen Captain Marvel,
please leave now.
Well, that too. But if you want to know, if you don't have time to watch the 20 movies that came before this, I would watch the first Avengers and the first Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Those are probably the two that tie in the most, both visually and as far as plot. Yeah, like anytime we went to a location like Hala or even Earth, or was it CS53 or C53? C53, aka Earth.
Yeah.
Like the text would pop up with the label, the name of the location, like the galactic coordinates or whatever. That's the exact same that's in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Yeah,
it's the exact same font and the exact same format, so they made sure that carried over. So, and then obviously the big, or not so big, the lunchbox size.
Yeah.
elephant in the room, the Tesseract, which was the most surprising thing. I think that was kind of like the big, like,
Yeah, I was not expecting to see that.
Yeah. A nice shout out to Henry Winkler, Arthur Fonzarelli.
Yeah.
Happy Days lunchbox.
Yeah. Although now that now that the handle's popped off, it's not worth nearly as much. Yes. Although it's still worth something because it has the matching cup on the inside.
Yeah. Now let's kind of go back that opening. Stan Lee tribute. Oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting that, and it's like
I wasn't either. I cried.
Me too. I'm just like, oh.
Yeah. It's like it's almost. It's not quite, but it's almost exactly that thing, that meme or whatever that's been passed around the interwebs for the last several years, where it's like one day in the future we're all going to sit down in a movie theater for a Marvel movie, and up on the screen it's going to say something along the lines of "in honor of" or "in tribute of" Stan Lee, and this is it. I mean, this is the first MCU movie to have been released since Stan passed, and for them to tweak that Marvel movie opening that we're so used to seeing, where normally it's pages from the comics and scenes from the different movies with bits of script and that sort of thing, and we get that Marvel music. Yeah, that's my ringtone. And, then it goes to the Marvel Studios logo, but instead it's all of Stan's cameos and images of Stan with some of the cast behind the scenes, like him with Robert Downey Jr. And then it's like, it just comes up on the screen and says, "Thank you, Stan." I was like, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. A little teary eyed. It's like, I assumed that there would be something as a tribute to Stan, but I didn't expect it to be the first thing on the screen before the movie even started. And it's like, you're killing me with the feels.
Yeah, killing, but it was perfect.
Yes, it was so perfect. And then his cameo on top of it is just so great. And I love
and very
the
meta.
Look. Yes, it is very meta because he's essentially being himself.
Right.
Which, if you think about in-universe, that means that theoretically, within the Marvel universe, the man that helped create the universe is in the universe of which he helped create. And apparently, Kevin Smith had no idea. He had no idea that they were gonna use Mallrats like that. So when he went and saw it, it was a complete surprise to him.
Oh wow!
Yeah. He'd posted on his Facebook afterwards. He's like, "I just got out of Captain Marvel," and he's like, "Holy crap! I had no idea that they were going to reference something of mine like that." So, but when he's there, on the train reading the script for Mallrats, which is not his, which was not his first Marvel cameo, but it was like one of his first feature film cameos was Mallrats, because he'd done the trial of the Incredible Hulk back in like the 80s. But to him to be reading the script from Mallrats, and then he just lowers the script, and this look that she gives him, it's almost like she broke character for a moment, and it wasn't Carol, it was Bree looking at Stan going, yeah, I know who you are. I get what this moment means. Like, this was very cool. I'm gonna remember this for the rest of my life. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, don't worry, I'll keep you safe.
Yes, exactly. She's like, don't worry, Stan, Carol is in good hands. And it's like, oh, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Oh, so let's talk about our hero, Carol. Okay, we really can't call her Captain Marvel because technically she has not taken up that title yet.
Nope.
So, which she might at some point down the road. Apparently, in the comics, it's Steve Rogers. At least in one form of the comics, Steve Rogers is actually the one that convinces her to take up the title of Captain Marvel.
I'm not surprised by that fact.
Yeah.
Well, and two, also Captain Marvel was a guy, and then they switched it.
Yes.
And had Annette Bening play Marvel.
Yeah.
Or Marvel.
Or Marvel. Yeah. Which I think surprised some people, because I think a lot of people were convinced that Jude Law was playing Marvel.
Oh, okay.
Because
I remember hearing, like, when it first started.
Yeah, because they were keeping secret on who exactly he was playing. They weren't saying what his character's name was, so people were just assuming that he was playing Marvel, but instead it was Annette Bening, which in Marvel, in the male version, his last name is Lawson, so they just gender bent Marvel instead, which I think was a good switch.
Yeah, because I kind of did a little deep research digging that Carol and Captain Marvel kind of had a romantic relationship down the line in the comics. Yeah.
So in this case, since Wendy, or Marvel, however you want to call her, is the person that appears to her when she communicates with the great, the great intelligence.
Yeah.
Like Doctor Who.
Yeah.
This Kree, this AI that's supposed to be like the all-knowing whatever for the Kree civilization is supposed to appear as a person you most admire, and it, appears as Wendy. So obviously Carol had a very strong affinity for Wendy as a fellow pilot, and so a woman in the military.
Yep, and hello, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with
the
Kree.
Yeah. If you're not watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you may want to, because there's some Kree backstory in there. You can help fill in some blanks. I'm just saying.
Because I was, as soon as they name dropped the Kree, I'm like, oh, goody. I'm going to have to rewatch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, not too much of a problem, but it's just like, first world fangirl problems. Okay, I'll deal.
Yep. I'm just saying, Tahiti, not that magical of a place.
Yep.
Instead of blue waters, you get something else. There's blue involved, but it ain't a blue ocean. That's all I'm going to say. Go back and watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes, ma'am.
Not just you, Liz, but anybody who's listening that's not bothered to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you're missing out. So what do you guys think of Bree's performance?
I loved it.
Same.
I mean, I know there was a lot of naysayers. I'm just like, you're making a a mountain out of a little teeny tiny anthill.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know some of the complaints, some legitimate complaints, I'm using air quotes here, some legitimate complaints that I've read are, some people think that her performance is a bit too flat. It depends. If you're looking at it like just head on without context, yes, I think you could take it as flat. But in universe context wise, I don't think it's so much flat. It's interesting because this is an origin story, but it's an origin story where we're coming into a character who already has their powers.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then also too, she's trying to figure out what's to mess with, what's true, and who to trust. That's gonna play heck with anybody.
Yeah, she lost her memories.
So you're gonna act a little confused.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is like she's got these powers at the beginning of the movie. It's not full on what we get at the end because they've
been tamping it down.
She's essentially got the training wheels protocol going on. They
low jacked her powers.
Yeah, it's like
her trying to get the low jack off.
Her and Spider-Man could commiserate about the training wheels protocol.
Yeah, happy.
Yeah, really.
Tony.
Yeah, but she's got these powers. She's been part of the Star Force for about 6 years. There's probably a little bit of transition time from the time that they picked her up to the time she actually got into training and everything, but about 6 years. She's had these powers. She's been training. She's been part of this Star Force, and she is obviously very self-assured in her powers and as self-assured in herself as she can be, but I think her nature, she's fighting against her own nature, because when we see the flashbacks, the memories of her in the Air Force with Wendy and with Maria, she's way more open, she's very friendly, the bits where like her and Maria are singing karaoke. She's obviously, hanging out with Monica. She's very friendly and very, excited to do her job and very proud of what she does and is ready to, kick names and take ass and that sort of thing. But then you've got, Jude Law playing this character, Jan Brog, who, he's trying to convince her to know you need to be logical, forget your emotions, be more almost drone-ish.
I was going to say Vulcan, but
yeah, Vulcan works. I don't want to necessarily cross over fandoms, but that works. And to try and have someone go against their nature is, you could just see that she's struggling with that, because once she finally lets go and taps into her true self, that amps up her powers to a point that's beyond anything that Jan Rog probably ever thought that she was capable of, and probably I don't even say that she thought she was capable of. I think she always thought she was capable of way more, but
she had everybody else trying to keep her down.
To keep her down, to keep her down, and I think that's like I said, to someone not keeping that in context, that may seem like she's maybe one-dimensional, but no, it's the under the surface that's going on.
Yeah,
that's really, she does it it's very subtle. But once that inhibitor comes off,
Yeah.
and she gets to be Carol, you know, it's like, this is the person, you know, this is who she's supposed to be.
Yeah.
No, and it's awesome, you know, and it's very cool to have a hero like that. That's, you know, we've had other our other heroes in the MCU where they've had to adapt their personality to fit the role that they're playing as a hero. You know, Thor had to go through this whole thing of, he was essentially hot-headed and but he didn't have the training that Carol had. I mean, I think that's coming from her military background. You can be a little bit arrogant, a little, you know, sure of yourself, but you kind of have to be, especially in a position where she is, where you're flying, you know, these planes that go however fast they go, you know, breaking the sound barrier probably, and handling this equipment, going through boot camp and all of that.
And you're probably only one of the few handfuls of females that are in this fighter program.
Yeah, exactly. She had
so you're going to have that tough as nails, take no crap.
Yeah. To get to the point where she was, unlike someone like Thor, where he was a prince. He probably, you know, Odin was kind of the, you know, no questions asked, you know, stern parent, but then Frigga was probably, you know, coddled Thor probably to a point and treated him more like the royalty he was. And then we saw that in the first Thor movie where, you know, he was obviously very sure of his abilities, but he didn't have the discipline to go with it. And so he had to go through what he went through to become worthy of the power of Thor again.
And I loved Monica. I did a little research. They might be shaping up for later on for another female hero.
That's what I was thinking too.
Turns into Photon.
Yep. So they
following in Auntie Carol's footsteps.
Yes. There was a nice little nod there at the end where it's like, well, I could come meet you someplace, and Fury's like, well, you gotta learn how to go like your Auntie Carol first, and she does actually.
Yep. Well, and the whole Fury thing, you know, what'd your mom call you?
Fury.
If you
call her Fear.
Yeah. If you have any kids, what are they gonna call you? Fury.
Probably Fury.
Fury. Yeah. I mean, and I kind of like the interaction that Fury had with Monica and Maria. I mean, I could almost see them like, oh, hey, quasi-family unit. We've been through this stuff. We know Carol. You know.
Yep. Yeah, this is a whole side of Nick Fury that we have never seen before. And Samuel L. Jackson just played it so well.
I loved it. Well, and then too, we kind of got a little nod to Pulp Fiction.
Oh yeah, there were several nods to Pulp Fiction.
When he and Colston are driving the car to try to track down Carol, you know, just that one. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's his character, and then Colston's doing the quasi Travolta.
Yeah. If they hadn't been hot in pursuit of Carol at that point, if Coulson had turned to Fury and said, you know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese in France? I wouldn't have been surprised.
Yeah.
You know, and then when was it Talos shows up at Maria's house.
Yeah.
After the encounter with the neighbor, and he pops up behind him, and he's like, you never know when you have to borrow a cup of sugar. The cup that he's drinking out of is the exact same design from Pulp Fiction.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
That Samuel L. Jackson's character drinks out of in that movie.
Yep.
So, they made several nods to Pulp Fiction with because in Winter Soldier, on Fury's headstone is the Bible verse from Ezekiel.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, and then we get that one strange fact that's like, okay, if you get taken over by a Skrull, Fury, what's the one weirdest fact that I'd be able to identify you?
Serve him toast cut diagonally and see how he reacts.
Yep. I'm just like, okay.
Oh my! I love the relationship between Carol and Fury.
Same.
The friendship. It's so much fun.
Yep.
You know, when she's with him, she gets to be herself. Yep. More of herself. We start to see some of that personality come through. So.
Well, and speaking of, we would also be able to tell too if Fury was overtaken by a Skrull, if he didn't react and turn into a puddle of goo every single time he saw a cat or a Flerken.
Yes.
We know something's up.
Well, we would know because the Skrulls do not like Flerkens.
Flerkens, yeah. Yeah, that's not a cat. What do you mean?
That's not a cat.
Yeah.
Oh my!
Mm-hmm.
And for once, Ben Mendelsohn, not necessarily the bad guy of the movie.
No,
he is
nice
broken the typecast.
Yes, which is nice to change. It's like, wait a minute, are you going to be Batty Hail Hydra, or are you going to surprise me?
Well, I thought for sure that, because when they're doing the autopsy on the one that had tried to impersonate Coulson, and he ends up talking. He's like, "Oh, we'll finish what we started," and I'm like, "Oh no!" And I can even hear reactions from people in the audience. They're like, "Oh, that's bad."
I was hearing some colorful metaphors echoing around the theater when finish what we started line. I'm like, "Oh, great!"
Yeah, and it turns out at least his particular group of Skrulls
are the good guys. Yeah,
that doesn't mean in general Skrulls are good guys.
No.
It's just his particular family,
or clan, however they
his clan or tribe or however they do them. They're actually good guys. They're just he was just trying to do what he needed to do to protect his family, and that's pretty awesome. There really isn't. I mean, there isn't necessarily anyone that's overtly like evil. I mean, even Jude Law's character, he's obviously got the wrong idea and on the wrong side of the war.
Right.
But he's not, he didn't ever come across as like overtly evil, just kind of someone that's taken a side in a conflict and thinks he's doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm. And he just happened to choose wrong. Or he had said a whole bunch of lines that he swallowed hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah. Yeah. He could be indoctrinated for all we know. We don't really know a whole lot about him other than the fact that, he's some sort of unit leader or something in the Kree. And he's not full-blooded Kree because he's not blue like everyone else. But apparently the Kree at one point go off and mate with other species, so they have like a line that's pink-skinned Kree, so they look more human.
Now, question: would Loki be considered a Kree? Because when Odin found him, he was blue-skinned.
Well, I don't know if the frost giants are necessarily their own species, or maybe they're part Kree. I don't know. Probably not. Because there's probably other species out there with blue skin. I mean, in Guardians of the Galaxy, we've seen all sorts of other skin colors, pink and all sorts of things, different colors. So the frost giants, I think it just happened to be blue skin as well. But the frost giants also, they're not the same shade of blue, and they also have like those runes or whatever markings on them,
right,
as well. So, but who knows? Maybe we'll find out at some point. There's a whole lot that we still don't know about the Kree, and have to
and the great intelligence as well.
Yeah, that too, but there's obviously more plot that they're probably going to come back to it at some point with Ronan. With Ronan, because they were all like, "Oh yeah, we're bringing back Lee Pace. He's gonna, to play Ronan." This is Ronan, obviously before the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and he barely does anything.
Yeah.
Just to show that him and the other accusers, which are apparently this gang or like military unit or whatever of Kree, are going around the galaxy with their big old bombs blowing up Skrulls. He's got to more than, and again, this is probably because they're setting things up for sequels and other films down the line. The fact that he's like, "Oh, we're going to be back, for the girl," because at some point we can assume that the Kree Skrull War finds some sort of end, probably with Carol's involvement. But then something must happen because the Kree and the Xandarians end up getting into it with each other, because when we get to Guardians of the Galaxy, they have reached a peace treaty and Ronan's not happy about it. And that's why he goes to Thanos trying to get the Power Stone. So there's potential for other movies there, but it is interesting that they would bring such a recognizable character back for so little screen time.
Because as soon as I saw him, like, huh? What? You're involved in this now too?
Yeah. That's probably my biggest non-nitpicky. It's probably still kind of nitpicky, but it's more of a valid complaint issue with the movie than not enough Phil Coulson. So, let's see. I got notes here. What else?
Did they ever mention where the Tesseract was found besides in the lunchbox?
No, and depending on who you listen to, because I've been watching people's recaps and videos and stuff on YouTube, especially people that I know are more into the comics and can fill in those gaps because I don't read the comics. Because I know the Nerdist released an article with what they think the timeline of the Tesseract is. So what we know for sure, I say that very loosely because again, I'm going on other people who have done things like read the comics, not just the comics that they pulled from, but the comics that have actually been released that are part of the MCU, like the Fury's Big Week run of comics, which are canon to the MCU. So I'm going off of people who are more dive deeper than I do. So the Tesseract was created at some point in the early beginnings of the universe after the Infinity Stones have been created, obviously. And the Space Stone was enclosed inside of it, because we know that. And Odin, Thor's father, got his hands on it and took it to Asgard and had it for some amount of time, possibly presumably using it when it was him and Hela on their Reign of Terror, back when Odin was more not as nice of of a ruler, and we can probably presume that he used the power of it to help him and Hela go about the 9 realms, wreaking havoc. And then at some point, some Asgardians, I don't know if it's Odin specifically, but some Asgardians took the Tesseract to Earth for some reason that we don't know. And eventually it got in the hands of some like Vikings or the like in Norway, and kept it there on Earth, where eventually in World War II, Red Skull got his hands on it. It had been protected by, generations of folks till the 40s when Red Skull got his hands on it. We know what happens then. If you've seen Captain America: First Avenger, we know what happens to Tesseract then. Red Skull tries to use it. The Space Stone is like, you ain't having that. Right. Off to Vormir with you. Steve crashes the plane into the ice. Howard Stark finds it when he's looking for Steve. Sometime in either the late 40s, early 50s, sometime after World War II ended more than likely. Howard Stark gets his hands on it, and I don't know at that point how much Howard actually knows about it, because I don't know exactly what Steve may have told him before Steve went missing.
True.
And how much the SSR and the U.S. military had as far as records. So, but Howard Stark, being Howard Stark, has it and keeps it up until through the forming of S.H.I.E.L.D. And ends up giving it to, or at least lending it to, Wendy Lawson for Project Pegasus, which Howard helped found. Project Pegasus, which is essentially Phase 1. So, because we get to Avengers and they're talking about Phase 2, Phase 1 is Project Pegasus, where they think the Tesseract can be used for energy for light speed travel or beyond light speed travel. So, with Howard and Wendy, Wendy has it and is using it. Obviously, Project Pegasus continues after the death of Howard Stark, because he and Maria die in 92? Ish, sometime in the early 90s. You think as many times as I've seen Civil War, I know as many times as Zemo, rattled off the mission report date. I would have that December something 1990. I think it's 1992. So Howard dies in the early 90s, but Wendy Lawson continues Project Pegasus up until the no, because Wendy would have died in 89. So they would have put the kibosh on Project Pegasus. And then once Howard died, it made it easier probably to cover things up. So then...
And then a few years later...
Wendy... Yeah, so Wendy obviously hides it in her lab, which is cloaked in outer space, sometime before 89 when she dies with the crash. And then it gets picked up again in 95 with the events of Captain Marvel. Goose swallows it.
Yeah, and then the end stinger scene is just like, oh, that's not gonna be good. What's he gonna spit? What's Goose gonna spit up?
Yeah. And then some point after swallowing it, Goose spits it back up again, leaving a nice slimy mess on Nick Fury's desk.
At least it wasn't a hairball.
Yeah, which we don't. Yeah, which now I'm thinking about it, do we know? We don't really know how much time has passed. Because
Right.
now that I'm thinking about it, is the computer that Fury is using at the end of the movie and typing out his idea for what would become the Avengers Initiative, is that the same computer that's on the desk in the post-credit scene?
I'm not 100%
Because
sure.
I'm thinking I could be misremembering just because of the computer that they used at Maria's was like gray. But the computer in that post-credit scene when Goose hawks up the Tesseract looks slightly newer.
And then Fury neither confirming nor denying as to what happened for him to lose that eye.
To the eye.
Yeah. And then he looks right over at Goose.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. But it's at some point after the events of Captain Marvel, Goose regurgitates the Tesseract. Nick Fury, we can presume, is the one that collects it. And then whatever year that is, they hold on to it until until after the events of Thor, where then Nick Fury decides that they need to start doing experiments with the Tesseract, and then we get the events of the Avengers. So, and then you can pick it up from there, from 2012 to now. And now the Tesseract is no more in the Space Stone. It's in Thanos' gauntlet. So yeah, there's a good big chunks of time where we don't know what happened to the Tesseract, if anything, because when Captain Marvel leaves, when Carol leaves, she tells Fury to just hide it. So he probably did take her advice to heart up to a certain point, where like, we'll just keep this on ice and not mess with it. And at that point, S.H.I.E.L.D. probably was not technologically advanced enough to do anything with it anyway. So that's what we know as far as the Tesseract's timeline. So all I know is that Carol Danvers got hit with the energy from an engine that had been powered by the Tesseract, and now she is awesome, and Thanos is so screwed. Yep. Oh, because she is. I mean, I knew she was powerful going into the movie, and I know a lot of people were saying, like, she's going to be the most powerful hero in the MCU up to this point. I didn't realize how powerful she was going to be, but now that I know where her power comes from, it makes perfect sense, because who else is incredibly powerful like her? Not necessarily with the same powers, but as far as abilities, who else has abilities really, that are maybe not necessarily go toe-to-toe with Thanos, but definitely are a step above people like Steve Rogers or even Iron Man. It's now Captain Marvel, Carol, Scarlet Witch. We saw what she was able to do in Infinity War. Even Okoye was like, where's she been the entire time?
Exactly.
Vision and Doctor Strange. What do they all have in common? Infinity Stones. Powers that come from Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
So the fact that her power comes directly from one of the Infinity Stones is a lot about why she is so powerful as she is. No one's going to get powers like that from radiation like the Hulk. As powerful as Bruce Banner is and as powerful as the Hulk is, he's still not going to match up to someone whose powers come from an Infinity Stone.
All right.
So, is she the Deus Ex Machina or the MacGuffin going into Endgame? I don't think so. Just because what we have seen, it's going to take the powers of all the Infinity Stones to stop Thanos. And because of the contingency tied to the Soul Stone, a soul for a soul.
Right.
She may be able to get Thanos and get him to where they need him to be able to stop him. But at the end of the day, somebody's going to have to sacrifice themselves for them to be able to fix everything, or fix as much as they can going into Endgame, which sucks. Which really sucks. But she got Fury's page, so she's ready to go. Which I like. At least the first time I saw it, the entire theater was like, "Whoa!" When she shows up at the end of that mid-credit scene, she's like, "Where's Fury?"
Yeah, and Natasha's like, "That looks like, who the heck are you?"
Yeah. It's like, you got some explaining to do there. They all have some explaining to do.
Yeah.
Like, can we get the Cliff Notes versions of what's going on here? TLDR, big purple guy, shiny gloves, snap, snap, bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye ashes, yeah.
Ashes, ashes, we all fall down. Oh. I love, though, someone's, their interpretation of that mid-credit scene, because all we get is just her standing there. Obviously some time has passed. Her hair is longer. The uniform's a little different. It looks like she's seen some wear and tear. Where all we get is where's Fury, and it's like it's in the scene ends right after that. So it's really hard to try and read where exactly that's coming from. Is it concern? Is she ticked off? Is it both? Is it is she scared? That sort of thing.
Well, and Fury kind of kept his word that he wasn't going to use it
unless it was emergency. Now, depending on who you ask, though, because according to Samuel Jackson, because people have asked him why did he never page her before? According to Samuel Jackson, Fury always thought once they had the Avengers that they were enough.
Oh, okay.
According to Kevin Feige, I think it was Kevin Feige, his answer to that same question was, well, how do you know he didn't? And we just haven't seen it. So, again, depends on who you ask.
Right. But her where's Fury didn't sound like it ticked off, okay, this is the X number of times you paged me in the X amount of...
Right.
What the heck?
Yeah. Well, and that's why I said I like this person's interpretation of it that I saw on Reddit. So this person said, I knew that she would show up on Earth at some point in Endgame because of Fury's page, which we knew that even before we knew that she was going to be in, this next Avengers movie. So, but I just realized that she would know why he pages her. Wherever she is in space, she's going to see people get dusted and all hell break loose. And right as it's happening, her pager will go off, which means she'll know what is happening on Earth too, and probably everywhere. So when she's asking where's Fury, it's because she's afraid he got dusted as well. Maybe this was all obvious to everyone else, but I initially took the line as she was just worried because since he paged her, she knew that something bad was happening. But I didn't initially connect that she knows the actual situation. And she also probably had to watch friends and other people she cared about die, then book it across the galaxy to see if her old friends Fury and Monica are alive. What I heard was, is my friend alive or is somebody going to get beat?
You have 5 seconds to give me some answers before I start.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, it's like, based on the visuals, if again, we're assuming we can take what Marvel is showing us
That's a pretty big assumption.
Yeah. Face value.
Yeah. Assuming there hasn't been any. Yeah, assuming there hasn't been any like CGI manipulation in this mid-credit scene. Not that Marvel would ever digitally manipulate anything. Infinity War trailers. Sure, the Hulk will appear in Infinity War.
And more than just the beginning.
Yeah. Because Cap has the beard and the longer hair. Natasha's got the short hair. That this is not long, and they're watching the global missing count tick higher. That this is not long after the snap. So she may be answering the page. Got there really, really quickly, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to stay on Earth the entire time.
No,
because she has that ability to fly in space without the need of, a ship.
Yeah,
she can take.
She can someone that needs rescuing. Yes,
just a little. Well, technically it's someone's, but I'm guessing that Nebula can last a little longer than Tony can.
Yeah.
So she's not entirely flesh.
Yes.
She's more machine than people. Although she's blue too. I wonder if maybe she's Kree.
Have you seen there's like a meme going around about Thor talking to Gamora about Loki and Nebula saying, are they the same? Are they part of the same family?
Yeah.
Dot.
No. Oh. They just need Goose. They need to get Thanos, get the Infinity Gauntlet off of his arm, and then have Goose swallow him.
Goose has a strong stomach.
Well, the thing is that it's not necessarily just the stomach. They're apparently a Flerken. Their bodies hold pocket realities, bubbles of space and time that exist in other worlds.
Yep.
Among a number of other things. And apparently their claws contain poison, which is why Fury lost his eye.
Right.
Did you just say they're bigger on the inside?
Essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
Essentially, Flerkens are TARDISes.
The animal version of a TARDIS, yep. Well, yeah, because as soon as Fury got his eye scratched by Goose, Talos was like, ooh.
Yeah. Fury's like, it's just a scratch. And Talos is like, no, it's not just a scratch.
Anyone else started seeing cat scratch fever?
My first thought was that it was merely a flesh wound.
Yeah,
nice.
That too.
Well, it was funny because they would tease it in the movie, because I think a lot of people just assumed that if we're getting Fury in the 90s, that possibly we would see how he ended up with the eye patch. And so when he gets in the car wreck and then he's in the autopsy room with the ice pack on his eye, and the autopsy guy's like, how is your eye? And he takes it off. He's like, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look kind of close enough in some of the earlier movies with his eye patch, you can kind of make out the telltale scratches. Yeah, but not a whole.
You can't really with the eye patch on, but if you go, I think you could see it a lot better when you go and watch Winter Soldier and he's talking to Pierce. Is he talking to Pierce or is he talking to Cap? One of the two.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, the last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye. Which he even says that to Goose too, where he's like, I'm trusting you not to swallow me. Although now when I watch the Avengers and Bruce Banner says, what does Fury want me to do? Swallow it. I'm never going to be able to listen to that line the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, trust me, Bruce, that's already been swallowed and it's been hacked up.
Yeah. Well, that's even if the Tesseract would have allowed him to swallow it. So
true.
So, because as we've determined with the Infinity Stones, at least some of the Infinity Stones, they are somewhat sentient.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the Tesseract does have a mind of its own to a point, because when at the beginning of the Avengers, when Fury shows up to the facility, which FYI, exact same facility in Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so isn't it nice they could reuse a set, 7 years later?
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking to Selvig, and Selvig tells Fury that the Tesseract is misbehaving, like it's alive. And Fury's like, well, that's not. He's like, are you trying to be funny? He's like, no, the Tesseract, it's behaving. We turned it off. She turns it back on. So the Tesseract has some sense of what's happening to it and by whom, and can react to it to a point. Although how much of that was Loki manipulating it on his end with the scepter, with the Mind Stone, because the Infinity Stones can work together. They work together. They can work together, not just all 6 of them, but even just in combinations of 2 of them together, they could potentially work together, which is probably how Loki was able to get to Earth in the first place. Was a combination of using the Mind Stone in the scepter and then the Space Stone in the Tesseract. God, I love how all this is coming together.
Mm-hmm. It's all connected.
It's all connected. Oh, it makes me so excited when the pieces come together like this. Oh, especially when it's movies that are like separated by not only time periods when they're set in, but just the time that the movies have been released, that they're still able to keep all of this straight and make it all work together. Oh, it just makes me so happy.
Whoever they have for the continuity people, deserve a bit of a pay bump.
Yeah, really.
I did have one tiny issue about the continuity, but I'm pretty sure there's a reason behind why they did it. Because technically, in 95, they wouldn't have the name S.H.I.E.L.D. yet. Because if I remember right, in the first Iron Man, that's when they got the idea to shorten the name.
Right. If I remember Coulson kept saying the entire thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was like, not that, because it was like, they didn't want to say, I can't remember the full name of it now. But
what the letters have stood for has changed. It's always spelled out S.H.I.E.L.D. It's just the words that they've used to have it spell out S.H.I.E.L.D. have changed. So that's probably where, because at this point Fury is like, I'm not saying all those words. Coulson, on the other hand, is a big nerd.
Yeah.
And he's like, I know the entire name. I'm going to spat off the entire thing. Because that's Coulson. Oh. I love because Coulson did not get a lot of screen time, but what he did, especially when Fury and Carol are on the run and they encounter Coulson in the stairwell, and you could tell Coulson is like, I'm the new guy. I really, I should be doing what I'm told. And then he goes with this gut, and I'm like, yep, that's how you get That's how you end up Fury's right-hand man and eventually can become director of S.H.I.E.L.D. down the line.
I mean, come on, Nick. You could have at least allowed him the aquarium on the jet after considering what he did bring you way back when.
Yeah. Well, Fury did bring him back to life, so
True.
I think they're probably even.
Yeah.
Although we saw how well that worked out for Phil in the long run. But anyway, I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter at all. Well, I was
Blockbuster.
Yeah, let's talk about the 90s references.
I mean, between the 9 Inch Nails t-shirt,
which apparently was not an official one. They had to make that one.
Oh wow!
It's a knockoff because they couldn't get their hands on an authentic one that they liked. So they
I
made
couldn't
one.
tell the difference.
Yeah, I'm not a 9 Inch Nails fan anyway. I have friends who are, but I'm not.
And then Carol taking out a picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger's the True Lies.
True Lies. Yeah.
Stand up.
Yeah. And then they took it a step further where she's like, where can I get communications equipment? And the guard's like, just points, it's a Radio Shack.
You knew it was going to be Radio Shack. It couldn't have been anything else.
It's so funny.
Because there weren't that many Best Buys around back at the time. For few and far between, and it was mostly Radio Shack.
Apparently that security guard does not get paid enough to actually do much of anything because he sat there as she fell into the Blockbuster, could probably see her walking around before she walks out into the parking lot, points to the Radio Shack. She obviously had to break into the Radio Shack more than likely to get that stuff. And it's daytime by the time S.H.I.E.L.D. shows up, and he's still sitting there.
He didn't want to get his ass kicked.
All he did was call it in, and then proceeded to sit there.
Or do you think he could have been a very low man on the totem pole S.H.I.E.L.D. agent?
Yeah.
Just sat there, did nothing.
Well, actually, the guy playing the security guard is the head of security for Marvel Studios.
Hopefully he does a better job in real life.
He's an actual security guard, but I think his pay grade at Marvel is probably a bit higher than a mid-90s rent-a-cop who has to manually roll down his car windows.
Yep. And can we talk about the internet cafe with the dial-up?
Oh my god.
The old search engines. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that brought back so many memories of having early internet.
You know, the younger kids are like, what is going on? And why do they think that's so funny?
Close to a few high school kids. And my brother's just like, what's that? I'm like, that's how we got on before we had Wi-Fi. Oh.
We had this thing called dial-up.
Yes.
And before Google, we had Alta Vista.
Yep. Alta Vista excites.
There wasn't anything before Google.
Ask Jeeves.
I used to like the police mascot for Ask Jeeves when I was little.
And then you'd have to wait for a half hour for a picture to download.
Yeah. Well, and then when they're at Maria's loading the audio from the black box, like the music's kind of building up, and then nothing happens, and they're like, Kira's like, "What are we waiting on?" And Fury's like, "It's loading."
It's loading, yeah.
And that was actually fast. Like
it was. Well, it was a CD-ROM. I mean, if you had a decent computer, they could be kind of fast.
Yeah, decent processor enough RAM.
Although apparently there's a continuity error in that scene because the Windows operating system on Maria's computer is actually Windows 97.
Oh, oops. Whoops.
So what would it have been before 97?
95.
95.
Oh, that's right, because that's the first one. Never mind.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the first one I remember, Windows 95.
Yeah, or 3.1.
Okay, are we done making me feel old?
I'm right there with you.
So you and Holly are closer in age than to me or Brittany. Definitely.
I was
Brittany.
born in 79.
Yeah, I was born in 78. So yeah, I'm right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we're not too far away from milestone birthdays.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Brittany is like, what?
I'm not that young. Like,
well, you're younger than us.
Well, I'm close to a milestone birthday, but not to say one.
Yeah. You're a spring chicken compared to the rest of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. The technology for me was definitely gave me the most like, oh my goodness, yeah, this is definitely set in the 90s. The clothes, not so much. I was just a bit too young to really be into fashion in 95. So
I love Fury's remark, lose the flannel. Like,
yeah. The technology was definitely spot on with the time period. And even stuff that we don't really think of as technology, but like the fact that the security guard has to manually roll down his window in the car. You know? Like, I remember that. No automated windows or door locks or car seats.
I hope you had the mom's seatbelt.
Yeah. Well. So, what about the music? What did you guys think of the music?
Oh my goodness, it was spot on.
Yes. I started laughing. Like, I never expected in a Marvel movie for a fight scene have no doubt.
Yep. Yeah.
Like,
well, and then was there garbage too?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. When they walked into the bar.
Yep. So yeah, she and Peter Quill are gonna have fun comparing
playlists. Oh yes,
playlists
and movies probably.
Yeah.
See where she stands on Footloose.
Yeah. Probably. Oh my. Well. Let's we've been at it for quite a bit, but let's at least take a couple of minutes to talk about the elephant in the room, I guess. the controversy that would not go away. Well, it's finally going away. The power of the internet. Some people use it for good and some people use it for bad, and thankfully the people that use it for good have been doing their part to squash the bad.
And our beloved Agent Coulson is one of them.
Yes.
Yes.
God,
our beloved. Is that his name?
Oh yes, he is. I love Clark Gregg. So yeah, for anyone who maybe somehow missed, you were under a rock or something, you've been like Star-Lord and been in outer space. Leading up to the release of Captain Marvel on websites like Rotten Tomatoes, I think it was mostly Rotten Tomatoes. The score for Captain Marvel before it had been released and people had actually seen it, for some reason went into the toilet. Once you went on to Rotten Tomatoes, it was really easy to figure out why, because I'm sure small compared to the rest of the population, but small but loud gang of apparently angry people that have nothing better to do with their time decided that they needed to trash Captain Marvel without actually seeing it because they could. because it's a superhero movie with a woman lead more than, at least that's what we're, based on the comments, I guess. I have not actually read any of the reviews because I know they would just piss me off. But from what I understand, based on the reviews that had been posted, it was mostly people just ticked off that we were getting a superhero movie with a female lead. I'm a good one at that. Oh dear. I'm clutching my pearls in horror. Like,
and it sounds like this isn't the first time this has happened on Rotten Tomatoes.
No.
But this time they actually did something about it. I think I heard.
Yes. Yeah, now I think they are keeping it so that you can't put reviews, I think, till after release. So you know, obviously you could still make crap up once it's released, but I think they thought maybe if people just saw that it had a really low rating, that somehow that would keep people from going to see it.
See, and I think if you weren't going to see it, you weren't going to see it.
Yeah.
Period. You know, none of the hype was going to convince you to go see it or convince you not to see it because of something somebody was saying on the internet.
Yeah.
If you're invested in Marvel, I would say most of the Marvel fans that I know, it doesn't matter the gender of the superhero. You know what I mean? I don't know. I guess I've gotten really upset lately with fanboys or super fans that have to have things their way, or it's wrong and it's bad and everybody needs to hate it.
I could not agree more. Like, y'all suck. Go away. You whiny fanboys. Let us have our fun.
Yeah.
Man baby was my favorite description this time around, was man babies.
Definitely man babies.
You are making a bad name out of our fandom. We don't need you.
Yep. You are not allowed at our party. You're not allowed at our table. Bye-bye. You go to the kiddie table.
Yes.
You get to go to the daycare with the other babies. Somebody will come along to give you a pacifier and change your diaper. So, but thankfully the fandom has stepped up, and since it's been released and people have actually seen it, people are going in and doing proper reviews, and the score has bumped way back up. So I mean, it's not as high as I'd like, but
right, yeah. I mean, as soon as I saw the box office numbers, I'm like, take that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're recording this as Tuesday evening. I saw it opening night Thursday night, and then I saw it Sunday. So I've seen it twice already. I know Liz has seen it twice. So I will
and I'd see it more.
Yeah.
If I could, but I will wait and I will own it and I will watch it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited for totally unrelated to the man babies, but I'm excited for the special features for this, mostly because I really want to see them show the behind the scenes of the Skrull makeup, because it's so good.
Yes,
they did that so well.
And to see too how they managed to do
the de-aging.
Stuff. Well, the de-aging, also the stuff with Goose, because Brie Larson had the cat allergies, so they had to do the CG and the puppets.
And a puppet. Yep.
I love the names of the cats though that they used to play Goose.
Reggie, Rizzo, Gonzo, and Archie. Yep. So.
Somebody was a bit of a Muppet fan.
Just a little. So, but yeah, the man babies can suck it, and we're done with it. We wipe our hands of you. Moving on. But I thought we should at least acknowledge it. Like, yes, this is a thing. thankfully, the real fans, to use their terminology they like to use on us, the real fans have stepped up and been like, screw you. And so.
Yeah, you fanboys made a stupid decision.
Yes. We recognize you made a decision, but given it's a stupid ass decision, we've elected to ignore it.
Exactly. Toss a little Nick Fury right back at you.
Yep. Exactly. So, well, let's finish out here with some trivia, courtesy of the interweb. Some of this we've already mentioned, like the 4 different cats that play Goose. Bree is allergic to cats. The security guard is Marvel's security director. In the comics, the Flerken is named Chewie after Chewbacca. Obviously, they changed it to Goose after Goose Bradshaw from Top Gun. Project Pegasus is actually an acronym. It stands for Potential Energy Group Alternate Source, United States.
Interesting.
Apparently, Jude Law hit up his Sherlock Holmes co-star Robert Downey Jr. for advice in joining the MCU. According to Jude, RDJ says he talked a little bit about how making an MCU movie is fitting this one piece into a bigger picture and giving yourself over to that. It's not about trying to understand everything, just do your piece. Which, after 21 movies, is probably good advice. Fury's Shield ID shows him having only level 3 clearance at the time. Which again explains a lot, because it was because after when I saw it Thursday night when it was over, the guy next to me turned to me. He's like, "I got a question." I don't know if it was because I was wearing my I Heart Coulson shirt, so he thought maybe I knew what I was talking about. But he was like, "Why does Fury act like he's never seen the Tesseract before when he seems to know so much about it in the Avengers?" It said, well, this is Fury's first experience with anything extraterrestrial. As he said when he was talking to Carol, he's been sitting a desk job.
He's been kind of sheltered.
In his time with S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, he's been kind of sheltered. And if he's only level 3, if there is anything in S.H.I.E.L.D. records from when Howard founded S.H.I.E.L.D. and had the Tesseract, it would have been below Fury's clearance level too, more than likely. So that explains a lot. We talked about Monica, because she goes by Photon in the comics, which is Maria's call sign on the side of her plane. We see in the movie. The Pancho's bar, which she visits, aka Pancho's Happy Bottom Writing Club, was a real bar located near Edwards Air Force Base in the Mojave Desert in the 40s. It was once home to test pilots like Chuck Yeager, Robert Anderson, Jack Ridley, Jimmy Doolittle, and Buzz Aldrin.
Nice.
The bar is featured heavily in the movie The Right Stuff, which is the video that Carol picks up when she's in the blockbuster.
Oh, cool.
Poncho refers to Poncho Barnes, who was a female aviation pioneer. She was an air race pilot and a Hollywood stunt pilot turned bar owner. She even was replaced Amelia Earhart as the record holder for top speed.
Neat.
Cool.
So, which is kind of cool.
Well, too, with the protocol, Fury names it Avengers because he's looking at a photo of Carol in front of her airplane, and her nickname is Avenger.
Avenger, yes.
Nice.
I might have squeaked really loudly.
Yeah. And then the Avengers theme starts playing.
Yes.
As he's diving, I'm like, yes. Is that a thing? It's a thing. So, I think it's safe to say overall we all have very positive reviews of Captain Marvel.
Yes.
I haven't quite decided where this is going to fall in my rankings. At the moment, it's kind of high up there.
Yeah,
I think.
You kind of got to wait until it's out on video and see how many times you want to rewatch it and then re-rank them.
Yeah.
Because the ones you really, really love are the ones that you watch even though you've already seen them tons of times.
Right. That would be the first. That would be the first Avengers.
I mean, I think it's going to probably sit somewhere within the top 10 or 15.
Yeah. It's definitely top 10. I'm just trying. I haven't quite decided if it's going to go in my top 5.
Right. Yeah.
It might sound like a bad technical, but I haven't actually sat down and ranked any of the movies. Like I can't really say. Those are the ones I watched more often than not, but
there's I don't know if I could actually like rank them, at least not completely, like all 21 of them.
Right.
It'd be really hard for me to rank them. I mean, easily I can answer without hesitation. My absolute favorite MCU movie is the Avengers, the first Avengers movie. But beyond that, because every time a new one is released,
that kind of shoots it to the top of the pile.
Yeah, nothing will ever top the Avengers, but it does shoot it up there. But it's kind of like with Stan Lee cameos. It's like whatever. My favorite Stan Lee cameo is usually the one I just saw.
Yeah.
So.
Though I do have a special soft spot in my heart for the FedEx delivery to Tony Stark.
Yeah. You Tony Stark. Yes, he's Tony Stark.
Yeah, Rhodey just going for it.
Yep. It's gonna be hard knowing we get 2 more Marvel movies this year, which is great, but those are Stan's last 2 cameos.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so exciting to whenever he pops up. He's like, yeah, I Stan, but knowing that we're getting to the end of the ones he was able to film, it's just it's bittersweet.
Yeah.
I was thinking as much as I love seeing the cameos, it's hard to watch, but it's even gonna be harder when he isn't in one.
Right.
Yeah.
Or maybe they'll do something where they'll have a picture of him.
Probably some kind of an Easter egg.
Yeah.
That's what they did. That's what they do with him in the Netflix series. Is he's never actually physically appeared in the Netflix series. It's always been a picture. He's usually a cop in the Netflix series because there's Hell's Kitchen for most of them. So they may do that. I think it'll come down to whatever his wishes were, because he probably knew his time would have to stop doing the cameos eventually. I'm sure in his mind he's like, I'll stop doing the cameos when I die, knowing Stan. But I'm sure he knew logically at some point the cameos would end because he would no longer be around. And they probably discussed it with him, probably when they did when they filmed Guardians 2, and James Gunn, took the initiative to film several bits with Stan that can be used as cameos. And that's what we're seeing now, at least until Spider-Man Far From Home, because that's Sony and Marvel, so they do their own thing. So that would have been filmed different. But this one and the Endgame would have been the ones filmed more than, he may have filmed his Endgame one when he filmed his Infinity War one. So Captain Marvel was probably one of the Yeah, let's say Captain Marvel more than likely was one of the last ones, the James Gunn ones that he filmed. But with that one with Brie, that may have not been possible, actually. Now I'm thinking about it. Anyway, we've seen the ones that James Gunn has took the initiative to film. More than likely, unless he's got stuff in the can that's like, him against a green screen, so they could composite him in, kind of like they did with the first Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, the fight in the library. He was filmed separate on a green screen as a librarian, totally oblivious to the fight going on behind him.
Right, yeah.
So they could potentially do that, but I think it'll all just come down to what did Stan want and agree to going forward once he was no longer around. Whether he's like, yes, you can composite me in, pull whether they want to do a Carrie Fisher type thing in Rogue One, where they can do a CGI version of him, or if they're just going to go to images implanted in the movie somewhere. We're just going to have to wait and see going forward after Far From Home. I do like the fact that his last official filmed cameo isn't a Spider-Man movie, though.
Yes.
So if he was going to have to stop at some point, if they were going to have, because they were going to have to stop at some point, but if that's going to be the cutoff is Spider-Man, which arguably is his biggest and most popular creation, that's where it needs to end, is with a Spider-Man movie. So, and it's still gonna be hard. I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about it. It's like the movie doesn't come out till this summer, but I'm already sad about seeing it, knowing it's gonna be his last one. Oh my. Anyway, before I start really bawling, anyone have anything else they want to bring up about Captain Marvel other than she's awesome? Or you can just say how awesome you think she is.
I think we covered at least on my notes that I had, I think we covered everything.
Yeah. I mean, if we were more into the comics and the story, the comic series that they'd pulled from, we could easily dive into Easter eggs and references and that sort of thing. But there's people that have way more time on their hands that do that on YouTube. Go watch them. We will gladly steal their information. I mean, borrow their knowledge when they impart it on us.
Yep.
But no, I have so much fandom stuff to absorb as it is. I will gladly let somebody else do the research for me. Then I'll just regurgitate it. I won't be helpful on pub trivia night somewhere, but whatever. So, Captain Marvel, awesome. Go see it.
Yeah.
She's likely, depending on how she does, considering we're 6-ish weeks or so from Endgame.
Yeah.
So she, if she could pull off a Black Panther, she may still be in theaters when Endgame comes out.
Yeah, so you could
that would be great. We could go see it again right before we see the new movie.
Yeah, we could do a double header.
Right? Yep.
Yeah. I would be down for that. So. But yeah, Captain Marvel, awesome. Go see it. Get yourself a Flerken.
Yes.
I love that when Goose eats not the Tesseract, but when Goose eats the Kree, those Kree like security or whatever those guys were, that he grabs them in the tentacles and they kind of fling around before getting swallowed. It was very reminiscent of Groot when he takes his arm and goes through those guys and flings them back and forth. Oh, Goose. All right. Well,
you are small, you are mighty, you are deceptive.
Yeah.
But in a good way.
Yes. Good. We're gonna need like a comic or a web series, like a spinoff or something, maybe on like Disney streaming service. Because most of the Marvel superheroes, at least that we have in the MCU, don't really have sidekicks per se.
Right.
But maybe we could get like an animated series or something with like Goose, Groot,
and Rocket,
Dummy.
Yes.
Dummy and like the Cloak of Levitation.
Ooh, that'd be good.
I love it.
I could see Goose having some fun with the cloak.
Yeah. Well, it's Goose's loyalty reminded me so much of Doctor Strange's cloak. And it's like, dagnabbit, Marvel making me feel emotionally attached to sentient beings that are not of this world. Well, if any of our listeners have also seen Captain Marvel and want to weigh in your 2 cents, you can send us feedback. Easiest way to do that is go to our website, which is the5ishfangirls.com. From there, you can send us an email. Connect on one of our other social medias, including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can send us messages that way. YouTube as well. If you are a Doctor Who fan and like reading Doctor Who related books, you could come join the Traveling the Vortex book club on Goodreads. There's a link to that as well. Every month we read a Doctor Who related book and then discuss it in the Goodreads forum type thing platform. So there is that. If you wish to support us financially, if you like what you hear and want to support us with your hard-earned cash, you can do that a number of ways. We have a Patreon, which allows you to support us on a monthly basis for as little as $1 a month. You can also support us with a one-time donation on Ko-fi. You can do it, give us your hard-earned cash that way. If you shop on Amazon, you can use our Amazon affiliate link and make your purchases on Amazon. We get a small kickback. It does not cost you any more. And if you're a Google Prime member, you can use that Prime as well. Get that free 2-day shipping. If you would like merch, there's a link to our Redbubble store. There you can find shirts, stickers, and other items with our logo on it, along with another number of other designs, including a new one I just put up on the suggestion of Liz, actually.
I did what?
You had posted last week that something needed to be on a t-shirt, so I did it.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I have these ideas and you know, they're not mine.
Yeah.
People do things with them, yes.
Yeah. So you said it needed to be on a t-shirt, and now you can buy said t-shirt.
That's awesome.
As long as it doesn't involve real drawing, I can do it. I can do text and some minimal artwork. But so there's that as well. So of course, always, if you like what you hear, please make sure you're following us on all our social media platforms. If you're not already, you can rate and leave us a review on iTunes or any other platform where you get your podcast. And please share with your friends and family, because we're always looking for fresh ears to listen to our show. Woo-woo! So, and of course, we'll put a link to the Social Sci-Fi Podcast in the show notes so that folks can listen to Liz and me when I make an appearance, which I'm 2 out of 2 so far. So,
and you're skipping the spider episode, correct?
Yeah, more than likely. Unless you don't mind me just listening and not actually looking at it. I could tell you all about how it sounded. Thankfully, we have to do Rosa first before the spider episode, so we got that going for us. So, but yeah, we put a link to the social sci-fi podcast in the show notes, and you can check it out along with the rest of the Geeking in Indiana Geeking family of podcasts. So, Liz, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
That was fun. So, and with that, we shall sign off for this week.
This is Brittany in Bethlehem saying good night.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. I wonder what Flerkens actually do eat for food.
Yeah. It's probably not tuna. Probably not.
To the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. You can find more episodes and information at the5ishfangirls.com. Any and all books, movies, games, and any other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied. If you wish to support the show, the easiest way is to leave us a rating and review on iTunes. More ratings and reviews will make it easier for others to find the show. If you wish to support us monetarily, you can do so at patreon.com/5ishfangirlspodcast. All money goes towards fees and equipment to keep the show going. For official 5ish Fangirls merchandise, visit redbubble.com/people/5ishfangirls. We love hearing from our listeners and encourage feedback. You can email us at 5ishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/5ishfangirls. Thank you so much for listening, and may the squee be with you.